I've heard that
It's true.
the higher generations are more dangerous to insects and maybe contributing to some of the, like, say, honeybee extinctions or extinctions of other insects that form kind of the basis of our ecosystem. Is that true, or can you talk about that?
Yes, it's true. The wavelength for your cell phone is about something like this. So when you have a wavelength that's something like this, it penetrates or it injects energy most efficiently in objects that are of comparable size. So, for example, in the standards for protection against non-ionizing radiation, there are frequencies where even industry is more cautious because it corresponds to the full length of the human body. So they want to have more protective radiation limits because it resonates with your body. Now, you take this distance at 1 gigahertz, and now you make it much smaller, say at 10 or 25 gigahertz, then you have dimensions of the radiation that are comparable to the body of a bee. So the
Okay.
bee will absorb this radiation much more easily than the longer wavelengths. The other thing about bees is that they have a behavioral problem. They don't stay on sidewalks. They have a tendency to go places. So imagine a bee that is relatively near to an antenna, and all of a sudden this antenna becomes active. The bee is very close to the antenna, closer than any human would ever be expected to be, and it is radiated suddenly with a wavelength that is matching its body size. This is really troubling in the sense that it may be invisible to us, but there will be an attrition of flying insects and even of birds as a result of the large number of these antennas that are being deployed.
So this is a real ecological potential disaster. Would that be too strong of a language?
Well, we haven't seen a situation in which bees are completely absent. And, you know, in health and in ecological systems, there's always a big problem in distinguishing the importance of one agent versus the other. Frogs, for example, have disappeared. People thought, oh, they can't tolerate radiation. They can't, but there's also some microorganisms that can attack them. And we know that electromagnetic radiation can, in some cases, be deleterious to the immune system. So we have evidence that electromagnetic radiation completely confuses bees when you put a cell phone in a hive. So this is already an indication. But the newer generations of 5G antennas, of which there are not that many in the world yet, but are currently being deployed, would be likely to have a much larger impact on bee populations.
Okay.